Working? Recording? Alors. It's back from a winter stroll. Trying to unwind before the recording of on Dev's diary number 2. I'm gonna sniff because it was cold outside. I need to go and breathe a bit because while recording yourself alone in a room lost somewhere in Connemara isn't the worst thing, you know. But when you're in your creative bubble for weeks on end and you finally, get to talk about your stuff a bit and not bother your girlfriend about it anymore for once. It's just a bit stressful. You know how it is when you've got to, find find your humanity again. So, how have you been, dreamers? We have cat motion. Cat moving in. Okay, already. I think today is gonna be about. Today's gonna be quick. Today's gonna be about. If I look to the corner over there, it's my feed. There's a cat. Yeah, this video is famous already. Yeah, if I look in the corner over there, it's my OBS feed. It's my screen recording capture thingy, and yeah. So it's gonna be a bit weird because I'm testing new setups. I'm going to juggle between. It's possibly not the way to do it. I should set up scenes and stuff on OBS. Blah blah blah. To switch between views and whatnot. So this is going to be let's go. People wanted I did a little poll. And people wanted to see mostly a video on dice design, dice tribulation. Right? I'm grabbing something to just. It's to stay fit designer. No, let's not just do anything with my hands. So, and yeah, guys, dice tribulation, right? Tribulations, because it's an adventure. To design a game is we're not only talking setting, but the game mechanics, the game system that fits it best, right? It's best the setting and it's the intent, I would say, the philosophy of the setting. Why certain dice mechanics are more suggestive of certain philosophies, aspects of life than others. Do we want a D20? Do we want a D100? Do we want 2D6s? Do we want flat curves? Do we want bell curves? Do we want comb curves? How epic, how personal, how minimal, how broad, how general, how specific, all sorts of questions that come to mind. And this is great. I mean, it's amazing because it's the first game I'm designing. I mean, apart from sort of baby forgotten attempts that I had going in my teens, Right, I have a cat here waiting. What does she want? She's just standing. Sometimes you just like to be in your company, and yeah, she stretches. Right, no comment. They're mesmerizing. I'm always like so. I'm the servant. I'm the servitor. My cats are just ruling over my world. Apart from that, apart from cats, dice tribulations, yeah. It's trial and error at my level, yeah, at my level. That what I mean is that it's the first time I'm doing something something like that, and I have the I don't know. I'm amazed like a noob, yeah. I discover stuff, you know. For me, it's revelation. It's like out there, up there, yeah. For an experienced designer, it's possibly just like, oh yeah, I did been there, done that, wrong, you know. Wrong. You'll see in 6 months' time, you know, maybe next week if you're lucky. But so every step of the way is kind of like the ultimate discovery, and then you test a bit, you know, and poof. So this is not going to be a video about what the mechanics of Mon will be, yeah. But what about they won't be? I will look at the rejected trials, the failed experiments, the many attempts to translate into a dice game that is still taking shape as it's tested, right? Reading my notes in here. Don't know if you noticed. I'll shoot my notes in on screen, and let's look at this first manip. I hope it will work. I didn't even test if everything is recording proper. I think it is, yeah. We'll do a quick. I'll stop recording here. I'll paste back everything. Yeah. Whatever. I just stop recording, double check if it records, and I'll see you on the other side. Right. So as you can see, what did we have? Yeah. This is not a video about the mechanics of Mon, how the mechanics will be, but what they won't be. Yeah. I'll take you through through my process of the last year. Last year, last January, I took it. I went at it again after a break of like a year and a half or so, and I will take you as well through the original sort of like ideas. Yeah, I had. So I'll update you on the current iteration, though you, as it's written here, you should expect changes before testings begin in September 2026. So 7-8 months between alpha. So there will be playtesting, first playtesting phase with a select group of public playtesting. We'll discuss about the schedule at some point, but in more details. But public playtesting shall begin on September 27. September 26 is going to be a closed playtest. So for people who really want to be there and hammer the thing hard. So yeah, to finish that note, great discoveries quickly become obsolete, replaced by newer answers to refined and updated ideas. The trick is to never lose sight of the feeling one is trying to evoke and carry forward through the rules. That's what I was mentioning there, that Mon has been and is still forming as an idea concept of a view on the world, a philosophy, a genre, an atmosphere, a space. So there are still, like, as I'm designing the game and its setting and its game mechanics, I'm discovering the world that is maybe it was there already, maybe it's growing with me, you know. It's a bit of both, you know. So, and the rules sort of like are adjusted, readjusted as the game grows you know, through phases of design. So the very first thing is that it's a D12 based game. We have the core mechanic, so core mechanic iterations so far. We have, why the D12, right? Just because it's my favorite die. I think it's the coolest one. I prefer it to the D20. I prefer the geometrics of the geometry of the D12. It looks nicer to my taste. It just rolls. It's a bit more snappy when it rolls than the D20. It doesn't roll forever and off, you know, and away. So D12 is a bit more like, you know, contained. Then there is the number 12, which is quite a number. We are not going to. I didn't prep a you know, symbolic number, sort of like a lecture here, but you know, 12 is quite mystical. But it's astronomical, right? The 12-month, 12 months, okay, but normally it's 13 moons there normally, is it? Or, yeah. So, but still, even if it's not really our like actual moon year number, 12, you know, it's 12 apostles, 12 what? You tell me 12 what, you know. There are so many. They say that I think it's 12 and 7, 12 men and 7 female, 12 male and 7 female to reconstitute the human race in case it's wiped out. I think that would be the minimum number to have like some kind of like genetically sound start. Yeah, 12. 12 is cool. 12 is a great number. So that's why I wanted to base the game on that, because it fits this mythic space fantasy. Voilà. It fits the mythic space fantasy sort of genre, atmosphere, groove. A D12. So it's a roll above, right? Not equal or above. It's above. It's a roll above. Roll a D12, it's still very swingy, right? And it's temperamental, you know. It's 8% chance to roll either outcome. There is a more limited range of results than compared to a D20. 20 is very swingy, you know. 10%, 5% chance per outcome. So with the D12, we're a bit more compact. We're a bit more predictable, sort of. And the range is sort of like the range is more contained. Making matching dice when rolling multiple dice pools more probable. We will see that in the early days, I had no idea that I was going to use multiple D12s, dice pools. But when you roll multiple D12s, you have a better chance at getting a matching, 2 dice matching, or 3, you know, or 4, or whatever. We roll up to 6 D12s in this game, in Mon, so far, as the system is designed so far. Up to 6 D12s. And you keep the best, or the matches you'll see. Spoilers. So matching dice anyway, they come. It's more probable that you can get a match, pair or triad or whatever with a D12 than a D20, of course. DC Comics by Mayfair Games did it with D10s. It was I didn't dig it. I ordered a re-edition. Hopefully it's on the way. I don't know. It's the backer kit. It's a bit weird. I don't really like backer kit. You don't know what you're doing there. It's like ordered and then you get no confirmation. You're not charged because you'll be charged only when it's sent. But then there's no it's really hard to communicate. If you go straight from the backer kit, anyway, side note on Backer Kit. But Backer Kit is weird. Anyway, I ordered the DC Comics by Mayfair, a re-edition, you know, and there they use 2d10s, and they have a mechanic for matching dice as well. So there's even a better chance to get 2d10s to match, right, than against 2d12s. Anyway, so we see what that means, two matching dice, right? So the basic idea, I've been playing the One Ring by Free League for a good while, and GMing that game is a pleasure, and the game mechanics are pretty pretty solid, super streamlined, bare minimum system to emphasize narrative gameplay. Still a bit of min-maxing here and there. Overall, I find the system trusty, but it doesn't. Well, maybe you have the surprise of the because they merged. They have the 6 success die. Yeah, the 6 the Tengua, right, on your 6s. With your skill dice, that's an extra success, right? So you have that for a surprise. You could roll as many as +6 extra success. That's for the sort of like the dice ability, you know, this kind of like this, how enjoyable, how pleasurable it is, how exciting it is to roll a pool of dice, because you don't know, really, you're not sure about the odds, you know, and then you get this magical result, yeah. So that was the main inspiration, merging. So I wanted to merge the One Ring and the Zero World Engine. Zero World Engine, you roll d6s. Every 6 is a success. You need at least 1 6. You don't have skills, you don't have stats. Maybe the skill they add to your stats depends on, because there is many variations of the Zero World Engine. Roll d6s, and every 6 is a success. You need at least 1 success to pass your check, right? So I thought, I like a d12. I don't really like adding raw d6s to a d12. It's a lot of math. Let's have skill dice give a bonus when you roll a 6 on them, and merge the One Ring and the Zero World Engine. It was nice as well to have d6s added to the d12 to sort of like even the curve, because the d12 is a flat curve, 8% chance to get every result. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 8% chance each. With if you add the skill dice, you kind of like, make it more round. Yeah, you have more chance to get around the middle, right? Between 4 and 7, you have already more odds. Yeah, depends on what kind of D6 systems you're attaching to that. Yeah. Problem I have with the One Ring, and that as well, there's dice predictability, outcome predictability, and the TN is always it's kind of like the TN is dead. It's based on your strength, heart, and wits, and it's always the same. It's good because you never ask, what's the difficulty. You get modifiers, +1 die, +2 dice, on difficult, very difficult tests or stuff, or easy, etc. But it's that's a huge, gameplay accelerator, right? There is no like computing. This is a slightly more difficult task than difficult. This kind of like GM. Mid-game, they can just wreck you, out of immersion and stuff. But still, I found that fixed TN makes for some kind of like, eventually it's, it makes it very narrative, because your attention is focused and is not redirected towards calculating, evaluating the difficulty of a check. It has its advantages, but it doesn't scale like crazy. You can't really go like towards impossible odds or epic scale challenges where you get a sense of you could give a -6 dice, yeah, but that wouldn't give you a sense of like where is the limit, you know, where is the actual difficulty of what I'm attempting to do. What's it look like compared to the rest? You know, you don't have this sense of scale, this structure. For that, you need a hierarchy, a structure, something that rise. You know, that's missing because I don't think because it's not an epic game. It's epic in the sense that but it's high fantasy. Epic in the sense that they right, the stakes of you know, every little counts in the Lord of the Ring, you know, you making a big difference for the world, you know, and stuff, but you're not you cannot single out a dragon, you know, you just can't. So there's that. In that sense, it's not it's heroic, epic, but in a very like sort of like specific classic fantasy, sort of like high fantasy. Not in the. Yeah, I was looking for some kind of like it's more modern. It's more modern fantasy. With Mon, we're going crazy. But at a cost, there is the thing. We'll go through that. The cost of thing, the trade, the grim. So the first idea was to roll a d12, just because, you know, some kind of feed die. It's always there. Your base die, I came to call it. The base die is your d12, and to that you add as many d6s as you have in skill level. And what I have figured out, inspired from the Zero World Engine, that 6s they give you advantages and 1s they give you disadvantages. 1 this turn is a +1 on your d12, or you can turn into some kind of stunt that gives you a +2 on the next turn. So you could sort of like make an assessment as do you want a small advantage now or a bigger advantage next round. And same for disadvantage. Can't remember which one. What did they have sorted out? It always was, I tested it quite a bit, but then I did Fate and Doom. So one of the skill die was turned into a Fate die, and a 6 on the Fate die gave double advantage, and a 1 on the Fate die was a Doom, right? Double disadvantage. But then I became troubled by young designer, obstacles. As you imagine something, you think it's all grand and dandy, and you begin to test it, and then you begin to think about it, and then you realize that 6 months later you haven't made any progress because the premise of the idea, the foundation is not sound. There was a conflict between fate dice and skill dice. Like, what if you? Because I really wanted. I was bent on. I wanted my fate mechanic against Doom. Barbarian, Conan inspired stuff. But what if you don't have skill dice? Then still need. So what you roll anyway? You roll a fate die. So then I was like trying to look for maybe you roll a d12 and a fate die, and then you add your skills. But I don't even think I had that idea back in the days. I think I was I was two years ago, and that I was never satisfied with the system. I got stuck there pretty early on without even the desire to push more brain power into it, having this weird feeling that the mechanic was wrong from the onset. And that just cut me off. I couldn't write about the world, the setting, with anymore with that block. on the mechanics sides, on the sides of mechanics. There was, and it's always interfering. If there is a block in, I cannot find an ID for the world, then that sort of shuts me down, and then I cannot make progress on the mechanical side of the game. And if I have a block on the mechanical side of the game, then that sort of like blur my mind. I'm not in the right space to be inspired to write more about the setting. It's weird. Left, right brains sort of like fighting psionic war with it. So then a year and a half, I decided to focus on GMing. So I did a lot of GMing online. Can watch that stuff in the Fringe World various playlists on YouTube. And then I had this idea suddenly, like, poof, last January 2025. So no more. So second ID, yeah, we're here. Second ID was no more zero world. No more zero world, but a bonus of +1 on your D12 when your skill die rolls a 4+. So if we have, let's say, how do we go here about camera corner, assistant GM? But I can, it's over there. If I roll, let me double check. Do you all see? Merde. Yeah, I told you it was going to be a mess. It's not a stream, but just a little check here. Check. Yeah, you guys see that, yeah? So we have, for instance, we have a 6, a 4, and a 6 and a 4. Funny. So I picked the best of 12. D12, it's a 6, and the best of... no, it wasn't that back in the days. Here we had a 6 and a 4, so both skill dice gave a +1. So that was an 8 right there, yeah? If I have a D12 and, let's say, 4 D6s, it was 11, and only one of the skill die is above 4, so that's a +1 from the skill bonus is +1, so that was a 12. If I roll another, for example, here, we have, that's a 7, a 6, +1, because only one skill die was above 4. So I say cool. I like that. Because that makes skills, it doesn't, it's not that you don't just need to roll a d6 to add its raw score to your d12 score and make the sum, basically, sum them up and, tally both dice. And there is a 50% chance that your skill doesn't account for anything. Why not? But then I thought, it's tough. So why not make a committing mechanic? When you commit a roll, back in the days when you committed a roll, and I let you in on the philosophy behind as well. Back in the day, when you committed a roll, you get a +1 skill bonus on skill dice rolling a 2+, right? A 2 up. So but then your rerolls, because reroll is cool. It's the currency. You pay willpower. It's the good old mechanic. I like it. So if you had let's say a d12 and 3 d6s, and you roll this while committed, that's a +3, right? Instead of a +2 if you had not committed here. So it's 11 +3 here. So that's a 14. So committing was kind of like became the norm because it was so good to commit. You could roll ones on your committed dice, and if you roll like if you roll 2, like here, do you want to re-roll? It would cost you 2 willpower, reroll any dice within that pool, to turn that into from an 8 into possibly, if you reroll your 2d6s, okay, you pay 2 willpower to gain a +2 on your final score. Not bad. So committing, like, that was a good, I think it's a cool little mechanic, and it made sense sort of like in the context of that system as it was designed back in the days. So the philosophy, commit, the whole thing about to commit boosts at a cost, yeah, which is the core concept in the overall design of the game, which is centered around, if not the balance, then the dynamism between order and chaos. Everything is a trade. I think in life, in real life, it's pretty evident that if we don't want to call it karma, let's call it effort. You get what you deserve. You put, you output 100, you get 1%. Depending on your strategies, how clever you are, you get a certain outcome, harvest. Only if maybe you find $100 on the walkway, okay, but that's luck, whatever it is. Maybe you've invested in luck somewhat, but there is, and in game design, it's always, I think, interesting that you don't, even if you pay for advantages. There are currencies, there are meta currencies or in-game currencies, and narrative or not, voilà. And there is always some kind of balancing effect, and that makes you engage with the odds, the stakes, the value of things, and compare and be invested. That is a catch, a trigger for your attention to engage with material from the game and the setting and the dice and all that, and you begin to be to play. That's this kind of mechanics. They ask you to play. I have a cat here looking for... No, she wants to make an exit. Sorry. So, and there is there are a few subsystems nowadays in Mon that have to do with some of the really game-changing sort of mechanics are based on that kind of trade. Trading risk for reward, trading power for aggravation, risks of derangement, and attracting cosmic awareness and stuff like that. Yeah. So the more sort of like manipulative you are of your environment, the less patient you are, the more risk that implies, and that's a cool mechanic. I think it reflects well on the principle of life, real life, and it's an engaging mechanic. So I've implemented that sort of like that framing on various systems and subsystems in the game. Now, then I decided to add tempered skill, because I thought, okay, if you roll d6s, how many skill dice can you roll at most? 12, and you count 50% chance every 4+ out of 12 dice. It becomes it's not Warhammer 40k, yeah, but the tabletop, it needs to be fluid, yeah. So I decided to add the tempered skills. So you with your XPs you buy 2 skill levels, and you compact it into a tempered skill point. So you get a +1 instead of getting 2d6s that gives you a +1 on 50-50. You get just a straight +1. So there was this thing: you're a d12 plus a certain number of normal skill dice plus a raw modifier of tempered, you know. And that was a cool thing, because for the same amount of XP, you can have the chance to roll, if you buy 1 tempered for the price of 2d6, it's like you forego the chance to have a +2, but as well to have a 0, and you stay at 1. And so there was this kind of like, what kind of player are you? You know, are you a gamer? You know, or do you want to play it safe? You know. And I also had the idea, maybe I'm magic skills, for example, cannot be tempered, right? Because magic, you know, because grim. Then things starting to take shape. At this point, I was like, yeah, let's go, and I started to write again on about the setting, the world, and things starting to develop quite nicely. And up to this point today, it has not stopped. I had a couple hiccups. Yeah, there is a few of those tribulations coming. What do we have? Yeah, then I started to develop that sense that there is something epic that's not happening. That how can I integrate that possibility of fighting against odds that are just disproportionate, and how, or as well, can you become a disproportionate figure, right? So then came the idea of the exponential difficulty scales, exponential modifiers. It was not about like getting a +1, a +2, or a +3. It was about getting a +2, +1, +3, +7, +15, +31, +63. Like in the days, I had this weird. I'll show you the chart has changed. Yeah, it's been simplified now. It's exponential, but by a power of 2, right? Or ratio of 2, whatever you call. I'm not a mathematician, but before it was, as you can see, like here. Yeah. At BD is the base difficulty, right? And it goes in tiers. Yeah, BD -2, -1, BD 0, which is your manageable, you know, some trivial, easy, manageable. So here it's not exactly. Yeah, it was already kind of exponential, kind of -4, a -2, a 0 at manageable, a +1 at the main, and so you have 6 more tiers of base difficulty. I wanted to cap it at 6 because you know. It's not a game of superheroes either, yeah. So it's not DC Comics either, Marvel. So the idea was that I wanted the difficulty to double per tier. Not the difficulty, the augment in difficulty from the previous augment. So that went from +1. So 0 to +1, it's a +1, then to +3, because now you have double the add up. I don't know. You see how difficult it is to explain. Then from +3 you had +4, so you have a total of +7. Then from the +4 you double the +4, so that's a +8. So the +7 goes to a +15. You double the +8 into a +16, so you go from +15 to +31, etc. Yeah, and finally you double the +16 into a +32 modifier compared to the previous tier, and you end up at +63. So you had like, and the entries inside are your AD. AD is a term I've kept in the game. AD is the actual difficulty, which is the correlation or the meeting point between BA and BD. BA is your base attribute tier. And a base attribute tier comes with a base attribute modifier. And same with difficulty. A base difficulty tier comes with a base difficulty modifier, right? So a BA0 base attribute tier 0 base attribute modifier 0 against a manageable BD0, you get a 6, because that's the number you need to beat. So a 50-50% chance to beat a 6 with the D12. And that's, and I went from there. You see that if you have a BA minus 2 versus a BD minus 2, it's again a 6. So it's a dynamic. I had a term, I didn't put it in the note here. Some kind of dynamic difficulty scaling. If you're doing something hard, and your BA3, which is I forgot the name of you're an adept here. Your AD, your actual difficulty, is going to be 6. But if you're a layman against trying something hard, well, your AD, your actual difficulty is way higher. So difficult things are easy for adepts and masters and etc. But difficult things are nigh impossible for weak and unfit. So I think this I have kept, yeah. Although the modifiers themselves are a bit different, you'll see. But I kept that chart. This is the core this is the core mechanic, basically. You compare your BA to your BD, to the BD of the check. That gives you an AD. You compare your base attribute tier to the base difficulty tier. That gives you your actual difficulty, the number you need to beat with your dice pool. And you see that a master fighting a novice, the novice has no chance. Like the novice fighting against a master is BA4, yeah. So that would be a BD4 for the novice. If you make opposed test, you will see later opposed test. You pitch base attributes against each other, right? So a novice BA1 against the master BA4, so that the BA4 of the master becomes the BD4 for the novice. He has a 20 actual difficulty, AD 20, whereas the master himself against the same guy, a novice, BD1, he's BA1, so he becomes the BD1 base difficulty for the master. It's -8, right? So the master is going to be like, yeah, and the other guy cannot touch him. How unfair. Yeah, very unfair. But that's it, pick your fights. There are so many ways in the game to go around that, right? You will see. But that won't take away the fact that difficulty is dynamic, depending on your own level of mastery and your skills, or a couple of things, right? But this chart has changed, but it's the basic idea is the same. And the maths are they are simplified with the new. To give you a quick scroll, it's the new one. You see the modifiers themselves have changed. It's still it's the final modifier that is exponentially going up. It's not the modifier to the previous modifier. It was just insane. Those numbers were not like, it was just mathematically. It was mathematically. It was just bleh. Now it's +1, +2, +2 to +4, +4 to +8, +8 to +16, +16 to +32, right? And you've got this sort of like it's a nice exponential curve, violent, but less aggressive than the previous one. And those numbers are I mean, you get it quickly. For me as a GM, an experienced GM, I don't need the chart. Yeah. Although I've designed it and I've been studying it for months. But it's there is a base and there's a default difficulty. You can see it's changed. It was 6. The default difficulty was 6. But now it's 8. You'll see why in a minute. So you take your default difficulty, you add the base difficulty modifier, you subtract your base attribute modifier. It's like default difficulty plus difficulty minus attribute. Every game does that, yeah. Only here it's a exponential curve, right? So then I was like, oh yeah, nice, okay, this really gives the sense of epicness, yeah. But then how do I score a 70 or whatever, more than a 73 with 1d12 and a couple d6s that gives me +1 on 4 plus? I was like, oh. I had like enter a new realm of a new maze of I was looking for answers, and then I came, of course, with the idea of it was called favored dice back then, but then now it's called because this state, it's called might. Your character has by default has many might as their character level. You at this point in time, a character in Mon has a maximum of 3 levels. You level 1, 2, or 3. If you level 3, you're a badass already. I don't think I want to go further up. We'll see. Yeah, because there are other ways to get more might, right? Talents, right? You get special. Then that gives room for specialized specialists, right, to get in. But still, as progressing character, level through level, you get a default favored die on top of your basic base D12 base die, right? So I had this as well, that creatures, their size, the size of a creature, will determine the number of might it has, right? And might is the number of d12s you roll, and you pick the best, or you pick the sum of matches if that sum is better than any other single score, single die. So let's show you, like, if you roll 4 d12s here, we have this is a 9, a good example. So we have 3, 3, 3. It's a match, so we keep that because it's better than 5. Here, well, let's roll 6 d12s. 6 d12s. Here we have that's a 14. 7 is better than 11. 2 times 7 is better than 11. So here, you see the odds? You see where it can go? You roll 6 d12s. You see how crazy it can go? The odds are just mad. Here, 2 9s. It's a 19. The odds of getting 6 d12s, 6 12s are very, very low. Yeah. And if you roll 6 d6s and 6 d12s, the odds of getting max outcome are like 1 in 400 million or something. So I love that, because you have a bell curve on all of these, plus you have a comb curve on top. Like it goes like pa 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 pa. It makes some kind of music. Because the pairs, the triples, the quadruples, they create those spikes at regular intervals. And then it's amazing. So you have this every time you roll like 2, 3 d12s. You may have this exploding dice mechanic. I call that an explosion in this game. Then, well, whatever. We were not yet. It was not fully yet developed in my head and stuff. and I was still struggling with that first iteration of this chart, yeah, this scale. So yeah, there. Weapon damage. I decided to simplify. Back in the days, I'm not going to talk too much about combat. It will be a separate video. Weapon damage. Back in the days, I was like, my intent. I never wanted combat to last too long here in Mon. I wanted to be fast and furious, tactical, but not like overly. And my dream was to make a one roll, sort of like one roll combat resolution, you know. So, which I think is, in fact, doesn't fit really too well the game. So I've added HPs and stuff. I tweaked the thing to make it that the combats, generally speaking, they last, depends on what you fight, yeah. But we'll talk about combat. So back in the days, weapon damage was flat. It was like +1 for light weapon, +2 for medium weapon, +3 for heavy, +4 for huge. And that was it. And I didn't want to mess people's mind with more with that. So that was it then. I thought, this calculating, we're on the third idea here. Calculating skill dice bonus, you know, is cumbersome. Let's get rid of skill dice. We just go with a skill level is equals a raw modifier. No more d6s. The d12 is king. You just look for explosions. And there was no more committing. Because the committing mechanic was attached to the d6s, right? Committing here. You turn a 2+ into a 4, a 4+ into a 2+ for skill dice bonus, right? So I didn't know what to do with the committing mechanic, with the commit. Yeah, I had no idea where to insert that committing mechanic in this context. Now, and then I realized, I don't know, I tested that for a couple, I don't know, it didn't last very long, this stage. It's not flexible. It's boring as hell. You know, like you roll a d12. Imagine, I don't know, in what there is a name for forgot the fudge system. No, what is the name for the d20 plus skill minus difficulty? There's a name for the the basic. You have a cat coming back home. She wants in. Right, and she wants, I don't know, she's licking herself. Now, yes, if you add like, if your skill is always like giving you a +2, the cat. If your skill is always like consistently giving you a +2, okay, well, but what's even the point? I'm kind of like, what's even the point? Because in your head, you don't even appreciate that anymore. It's kind of like it becomes your sort of like, you know, when you're addicted to some kind of drug and you need increasing numbers to sort of like a dosage to sort of feel it. That's kind of the thing. That's kind of the effect, I think. So the lack of flexibility and flat skill modifiers, boring as hell for sure. Dice are fun, right? They serve they have a function. They serve a purpose in a game. It's a game. It's a simulation. So you want a certain amount of randomness because we want to simulate the odds of something, and we don't want to pick for people because we can use dice to sort of like emulate those odds. So dice, and on top of that, they are fun. Just the pure sort of like this feeling of rolling. It has something to do with fate and being more than human, right? It's a demigod, yeah. You roll the fates, yeah. You kind of, there is something with games in general. Huh? I think they put us in the shoes of mini gods. They give us the chance to sort of like play, cosplay gods, yeah. And that's why they are so educational, because you can die without dying. You can play against the odds. You can manipulate the odds, which is a thing difficult to do in real life. And here you get a chance to do it for free. And yeah, so dice have this. They have that mystic. I think dice have something mystical about them, just like like pulling random tarot cards or make a bet on something and trusting your luck, or this kind of like. So dice rolling is fun and should be made fun. The mechanics, the way the dice are required, when you roll, what does that do? It should be interactive. It should be entertaining. So there needs to be a certain level of dice complexity for that to happen, which generates unpredictability and playfulness. But you don't want that to be like overwhelming when you design. You want that to be just at the right sort of level of where do you want the attention of the players to go, more into the narrative, immersion, or having some kind of like mini god me time. So yeah, how does get in the way? Answers. Explosion, yeah. How to make rolling dice fun again, so that it is exciting to roll, but does not overly gets in the way. Answer. Explosions and dice pools on an exponential difficulty scale. Yeah, that was voilà. So I had already the exponential scale, and then explosions explosion, in generally speaking, means something different. I mean, if you roll max score, max output on one die, you re-roll on top of it and you add that number further. You can explode again and again. Here in Mon, an explosion is different. We don't use that typical system. An explosion, I call it like that so far. Maybe it's gonna have another name. Because maybe we conflict with the preconception people have in mind when they know what the typical explosion is in a role-playing game. But here, an explosion is matching results are tallied, right? So if you roll 3 d12s and you roll 3 12s, you get a 36. That's it explodes. And that's what makes the chart scalable. You can climb quite hard, if you have the luck. If you're bent on it, if you want to risk, because there are quality of failure mechanics that makes for bad roll. Make you pay for bad rolls depending on the dangerosity. There is as well dangerosity and stuff. We'll talk about quality of success in a future video. So yeah, DC Marvels by Mayfair Games, they have that. Like I said, I didn't study it too much in depth. I have all the PDFs, but and I ordered the reprint of the new. Yeah, there was a Kickstarter lately. It looks awesome. There's a box with all the good stuff in there. So they have this scale, yeah, because when you play Superman, you can lift a plane and whatever, and for you it's like going to the fair and licking an ice cream, whatever. So here we have it's still like contained. It doesn't go off the chart like in DC Marvel. But explosions, just the same. Which are the answer? in Marvel, it's explosions. It's the typical way of doing it. Yeah, I think you roll 2d10s, and if you get a 10, what was it? I forgot. Anyway, there are explosions there as well, and they're the way. It's the way to make an exponential beat the TN sort of chart possible and exciting. And then what do we have? Fourth ID before the last iteration. Oh, back to skill dice. Okay, yeah. Oh, we're already before the last iteration. So that was a couple months back. Back to skill dice. Yeah, because flat skill dice modifier are boring. And now I got rid of the 4+, 2+ skill bonus when committed. I got rid of that mechanic. And I had roll d12s and d6, as many d6s as your skill level. You pick the best of each. So that was like if you have level 3, skill level 3, and you're a level 2 character, you roll something like this. Here you get a 12 plus the best of the skill dice, a 4. You get a 16. So if we do it again, 2d12s. Here we get a 9 and a 6, a 15. You can see the numbers are going up a bit, yeah, already. So what do I have? Mirror the d12. So d12 and d6s, they work the same. Got rid of this 50-50 skill die, sort of like pre-calculation thingy. Go back to I pushed off my fear of like having to. No, because you pick the best of your d6 pool. You don't have to add them all up, which was kind of a pain in the One Ring, which they circumvented by saying that you don't really need to calculate, because you see if you beat the TN, you just look for the 6s, so you didn't really have to compute all that, frankly. But here you just pick the best of the dice pool, so it's like puff, and you do the calculation. And I reintroduce the exploding mechanic. Now committing made explosions possible. That's where I was at that stage. That means that d6 skill die, and I had d6 skill die upgrade to d8 on committing to compensate for the cost of risking a 2 willpower reroll and pissing you up is in case you pissing you off in case you rolled bad and you had committed, you re-roll, you still rolled bad. So there was like pushing the skill die to a d8, sort of like increased the sort of like the average, and made committing less punishing in case you failed anyway. So we had here, we can see that skills become a lot more powerful because you don't have a 50% chance per die to get a +1. Every die is a chance to get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or 6. And then, so it's a 3.5 average on a 1d6. You go up to 5 on 2d6 average, 5.5 or even a nice 6 already. 5.5, I think, with 3d6s. So it's like the odds to get that was you had to roll how many dice? 12 d6s before than the previous iteration. So I was like, ouch. Okay, we have to notch up to the default difficulty, right? The DD went up from 6 to 8. Now you had to beat an 8, so to beat something manageable, right? While being a layman. So if we look at the curve here, we can see that if I'm a layman, and I'm not really found. Find me, you guys, can you suggest me other names for layman? Layman, it's lame, right? Maybe I should just go to the lame level. Lame, layman. Yeah, I don't know how to call it. You know, I don't know. You just give me ideas if you want. So you see, voilà, base attribute 0 versus base difficulty 0, modifier of 0 versus modifier of 0, default difficulty 8, that gives you an actual difficulty of 8. So you roll, if you want, if you're a layman, you're probably, but it depends, it can be a layman you can be a level 3 character and be a layman at something you've not invested in, you're not specialized in, yeah. But let's say you roll a d12 and 1d6, because you're still somewhat skilled in that thing. That's say 10. Okay, that's a success margin of 2, right? 10 minus 8. Let's do it again. We roll an 8 and a 6. All right, but that's a SM6. Success margin 6. Much better. But you see, it's already quite generous, right? Because this is manageable. Let's say we are layman. We still, I don't know. We roll awareness. You know, typical roll awareness. Yeah, make me an awareness check. So I have I'm BA base attribute perception 0, and vigilance. It's not an awareness check in this game. I called it vigilance, because it's something more. Awareness would be more like, okay, this is your default sort of like awareness, and I called it perception because it's kind of broader. Maybe we'll go one day about like the names of things and the naming. Naming is just, yeah. This is a design. This is stuff. Naming stuff. So we had vigilance. Make me a vigilance check. So you check your base attribute perception. You always combine in the world of darkness, sort of like spirit. I remember from very early on, I was like, what's really attracted me, charmed me the most in the world of darkness game system. It's the pairing of attribute, the free pairing of attribute with skill. I thought that it's brilliant because it's a bit like that in life. We're all sort of like jack of all trades, where we combine aptitudes we've developed at doing certain things, but then we transfer that into doing something else, and that's still, you've built yourself midway, and so you can apply knowledge or understanding. There was this thing of like, your understanding applies to different sort of like to an array of situations. So here you would roll perception plus vigilance. So if you are 1 vigilance, perception 0 against something I don't know, hidden, right? It's hard. So BD3, perception 0. Your base attribute, perception base attribute tier is 0. Modifier of 0, and then it's hard, so plus 4, so it's 8 plus 4 minus 0, and AD, and actual difficulty AD12. So let's roll a D12 plus 1d6 because you're level 1 in vigilance, and let's go. We got a 6 and a 3, a 9. Okay, you fail by 4, by 3. So now it's not called a success margin. It's a failure margin. Your FM is 3. It could have been an SM of 3, a success margin, if you had rolled a 15. So let's roll again. We roll a D12 with a D6. It's still the same. Your perception of 0 against a hard difficulty check. So it's always your attribute against the attribute of the opponent if it's opposed, or the difficulty, the default, the base difficulty of the thing you're trying. It's always your attribute against the base difficulty determines the TN. You roll as many d12s as you have might, and you add as many d6s as you have skill level, and that and you pick the best, or the best of matches, or the best die. Yeah. Let's say now I have. Let's say I've upgraded. I'm level 2. I'm rolling, or I have a talent that gives me +1 might when I check perception or when I check vigilance. Then you can have talents that, you know, like, does it boost you when you check perception? Because you could check perception plus land lore, perception plus folk lore, perception plus vigilance, perception plus arts, you know. Or is this talent boosting you when you roll vigilance only? But you could roll vigilance, you could roll perception plus vigilance, you could roll toughness plus vigilance when it's about like staying up all night, and you know, you could roll I don't know, strength plus vigilance when the atmospheric pressure is super intense and you're trying to look in there's a big crowd and the throng and you're trying to pinpoint something. Strength plus vigilance, you know. So there is this flexibility here. Now you've upgraded your might 2 because for whatever reason, like we just said, and well, you've trained vigilance, and now you have level 2 in vigilance. Same BD, same BA. 10 and 3. I pick the best of each. There is no pair. That's a 13. SM1, success margin 1. Not bad. Let's try that again. Let's see. Let's play around with dice. Ooh, we have a pair. Best of the base dice is a 10. Two fives here on the skill dice. That's a 10. We score 20 here, just like that. So SM8 on a hard difficulty by a layman. Not bad. So where were we? 4th ID. Yeah, raised difficulty. Base default difficulty was raised from 6 to 8. I had to adjust the XP cost of skill level adjusted. XP cost of skill level adjusted upward. And yeah, the pain of having to readjust XP costs through consecutive iterations. Maybe I should just not think about it, but I can't just. Every time I'm like, oh man, this changes the probabilities, the odds, and machin, and the value of things. So what value? What is value? You know, how compared to what? What is the sort of like the how do you say the canon, right? Or the standard, you know, cost of things. What is my my gold standard? I still quite didn't figure out that fully. Somewhat, I think is going to be I don't know. I don't know. Something to do with Kaon, the magic power, Kaon, and influence and things. I don't know how I'm going to sort that out. Or basically time spent playing. I don't know. But so I had to adjust the XP cost of skills. And not to go into too much details, but as well in a curve that goes down, because when you become skill, when you go from 1d12, you're not skilled. You can still roll when you're not skilled, huh? And even if you're, for example, you're level 3 and you're not skilled at something, you can still roll 3, like you roll 10 here. You know, your matching numbers, they pair and stuff. So you can still roll quite well without being skilled. But if you suddenly if you roll a d12 and a d6, I mean, it's you increase your average number by 3.5. With 2d6, it's +1, yeah? It goes to from 3.5 to 4.5 or near 5, yeah? And then when you roll 3d6s, the gain is a bit less and less, basically. But at some point, the matching d6s as well come in and sort of like equalize that curve. It's still, it should cost a bit. It should cost less XP to buy the level 3 and level 2, 3 skills, right? Skills gonna be capped at 3. Exceptional talents will cap it at 6 instead. But the XP cost is not going to ramp up, just like it will with base attributes, because base attributes, the modifier for base attributes is exponential, whereas the curve of the gain in the average gain per skill die goes down. So the XP cost had to be adjusted, and this kind of things. Now we have 5th iteration, and I think the final. I think that's more or less where we are now. Where we at now. The only difference with the previous iteration is the commit mechanic. Yeah, because I didn't know. I was like, okay, I made committing. So that was forcing people to commit on difficult roles, and I didn't want that. That started to bother me. I didn't want to force people to commit, so force them to buy rerolls at two willpower. Just because they were, why would you? It kind of makes sense. It's understandable that you'd be forced to commit when you have no chance otherwise. But I found that it wasn't super gamey. It wasn't super fun. To be forced to commit only so to get your dice to explode, yeah, to otherwise they would not explode by default. It would be only the best of, so the best ever result would be a 18, yeah, however many d12s you would roll and however many d6s you would roll, you only pick the best of each and add them up, so that would be an 18 max. So you see here, you'd be stuck. You would not be able to beat any of this this range over there mostly, yeah. As well, it always depends on your base attribute, but that locked. There was a I forgot the name in English. It doesn't matter. Like the whole area of the chart was just off chart basically. If you would not want to commit, so you would not have access to explosions. So I said, yeah, no, commit has to be something different. Explosions need to be default. It's too fun. First of all, it's too fun. Let's make explosions a default. That should be a basic, the basic, yeah. Now, what is written here? Is this on screen? The 5th iteration. Committing is now only a bet on the dice outcome, or at least its basic mechanic. Certain talents that are being designed now are modifying the commit mechanic a little. So here, you can only commit checks. That's how it is now, and I think I'll keep it. I think it's nice. It's casino. You can only commit checks of which the base difficulty is equal or superior to your base attribute. You cannot commit to something that is too easy. Okay, it needs to be equal to your BA. So an AD, an actual difficulty of 8, the default, or more difficult. And if you commit and you pass, it's a bet. I say, I commit to that. I'll make it. And if you do, you gain as many willpower points as the base difficulty tier. Right? So let's say, but if you don't, you don't gain nothing. And your reroll is 2 willpower. So maybe you want to pay 2 willpower because you still have the chance to get your willpower. Yeah, just maybe it will not be as profitable, right? If you committed on a BD0, but you'll get -1. Yeah, because you get anyway the reward if you commit a check and succeed is 1 plus the BD of the check. So if you commit on a BD 0 and you succeed, you get 1 willpower. If you commit on a BD 5 and you succeed, you get 6 willpower. But if you had to re-roll, you paid your 2 willpower cost, yeah. So there's this casino moment. It's completely out of the game, but maybe in character you can understand that you commit to something because you're confident that you're gonna make it, and if you make it, that's the confirmation that you are you are what you are, that you believe you are. So it boosts you up in willpower. It boosts your willpower up. And willpower is again a currency that plays other roles. You have it for derangement. If you lose all your willpower, you get a disorder, a derangement. I don't know how to call it yet. If your devotion becomes higher than your willpower, if you spend too much willpower or you gain too much devotion, and your devotion rises up above your willpower, then you become a radical, a fanatic in that sense. A radical when it's the group focus who becomes higher than your willpower, and you become a radical. So you more on that later. Devotion mechanics, heaps of fun. So let's do a little example here. We had, let's say, let's go back to our hard. Layman committing to a hard check. And he is, so BD, oh no, that's the wrong, this is the new thing. This is the new, this is today's scale chart, and I think it will stay like that. So we have base attribute BA0, BA modifier 0 against BD3, base difficulty tier 3, that's a +4, right? So that's 8 plus 4 minus 0, that's a 12. And I'm level 1 and I'm trained in vigilance. So perception, we know perception is here as my BA, yeah. My level 1 and character level 1 and skill level 1, so 1d12 plus 1d6. I roll and I commit, yeah. That's a 10, yeah. Okay. I spend my 2 willpower because I still have the opportunity maybe to make 4 willpower out of that. So I spend my 2 willpowers. 13. It's good. I got it. SM1, success margin 1 in only. It doesn't matter. As long as you succeed, the extent with which you succeed doesn't matter. So you pass. So you gain 1 plus the BD, 1 plus BD3, that's 4. You gain 4 willpower points. A net +2 because you spent 2 already for that reroll. So that was it. That was committing. You can commit only once per scene. Within a game session, you can commit as many once per scene. Okay. Right, 59, if you pass the check, you fail, strictly roll. That was the 5th, voila. So now, I think you've got it. Basically here, make an uncontested check. So there are various type checks. Simple checks, contested checks, opposed checks. Yeah, I think that's it. I think that's the 3 we have. So what are they? So a simple check is make an uncontested basic check. Yeah, a simple check. Make a simple check when the difficulty lies in the task itself and the conditions. No other actor, NPC or PC is opposing, competing, or attempting to stop you. Use an uncontested check for things like jumping a chasm, climbing a tower, recalling memorized lore, sculpting a totem, shooting an arrow at a tree, or interpreting the stars. And all, but not only, lol. The BD for such a check is the same for all characters, and the base difficulty is what it is. It's quote unquote absolute. It doesn't depend. The base difficulty is that of the task at hand. It reflects the task inherent difficulty. After you roll, compare your result to the actual difficulty, the AD. A positive difference is the success margin you pass. A negative difference is your failure margin you fail. Examples: climb a wall, agility plus athletics, BD2. Climb a steep wall, BD3. Climb a steep wall at night, BD4. Climb a steep wall at night in a storm, BD5. BD5, this is already an incredible feat. Climb a steep wall at night in a storm while being overloaded, BD6. This would be amazing. Or another example: recall a courtesan's name you once seduced. You better get it right. Intelligence plus vigilance. Yeah, possibly. Yeah, courtesan's name. Yeah. I guess it's vigilance or folklore, because you could. Yeah, it could be a folklore if a player was arguing. So you once seduced her. Or there's possibly a good chance that for you to recall her name. So it's only a BD1. And then as above, but her features are indistinct in deep shadow, and you're unsure she is the same person. So it bumped up to BD3. So it goes from say your Layman. To recall her name, normally it's AD9, actual difficulty 9. But because it's so dark, you can't really be sure it's that person. It goes to BD3, a 12. So you go up 2 tiers, BD1 to 3, but you go from +1 to +4, because the modifier is doubled every time. Epic! Right, now we have the other type of checks, contested checks. So make a contested check when the outcome depends not only on the task's own difficulty, but also on an opponent's performance. Each side's base difficulty remains unrelated. The opponents are only trying to outcompete each other, not to step on each other like two. Well, they would be like two runners racing side by side. The difficulty for each is the same. Like they are ascending, whatever. It destroyed landscape. It's difficult. It's difficult for both. So compare success margin and or quality of success to decide who wins or loses. The contestant achieving the better result, the better success wins the contest. Whether it's a race or to a goal or a comparison of the qualities of 2 or more creations, there may be more than 2 contestants as well. You can pitch like 5 poets against each other, and the BD will be the taste of the Empress. Yeah. So if required, the winner's margin, and there is success margin, failure margin, winner's margin. The winner's margin can help determine the extent of the win. Winner's margin equal. Winner's margin can equal 2 things. Depends on the context of the check. There are subsystems that will make use of either or. Winner's success margin minus loser's success margin. You run faster, but he runs well, but you runs faster. So you take your success margin minus his, because he still succeeded to pass his own test against you. They were pitched against each other, all the both checks. But he doesn't run as well. Or he fuck it up completely. Winner, he loses. So it's his failure margin here. So it's gonna be the winner's success margin plus your loser's failure margin. If you roll super fast, a 6, and he completely fumbles. He rolls 7, and he needed to beat a 12. So it's -5. So 6 plus 5. So you go, basically he crumbles, he falls and whatever on the way, and you have as much as he blunders, that pushes your win further. For example, you have two runners trying to compete one another as they cross the same difficulty terrain. Both roll agility plus athletics at BD4, same BD for both. Whoever nets the better SM, success margin, wins the race. The winner's margin can then be used to gauge the quality of success of that win. Or you have two poets seek to impress the Empress. The GM sets BD5, the Empress is educated and exacting, so they roll charisma or spirit against plus arts, poets, right? Against the BD5. And here only the quality of success is used to judge the poems and decide from the Empress favors. The GM says, okay, we don't care really if one has plus 12 or plus 13 success margin. We want to know broadly how the poem feels like. And then you compute that success margin into a quality of success. There is another little table because the quality of success I'm not going into that, but the quality of success is dynamic with the difficulty. The higher the more difficult something is, the more impressive it is when you succeed at it. So your SM banks you more quality. So here only QS is used to judge the poems and decide whom the Empress favors. If it's a tie on quality of success, compare the actual success margin of each contestant. Even if in that case the quality of each poem were similar, the Empress would eventually choose her favorite. Whatever, it's just an example. And finally, the opposed check resolutions. Opposed checks. Make an opposed. So we had simple check. It's you between you and the world, and it's absolute. Then we have between you and someone trying to achieve something similar, but you comparing. And then opposed. Opposed is like it's kind of a contested, but it's opposed. So if he's trying to thwart you, mostly it's combat, right? Or chases. Yeah. They're not racing towards a point that is fixed. You would chase each other. So there is this opposition. So make an opposed check when two opponents are vying for the same thing, such as in a chase or melee, and actively impeding each other's progress. Both are seeking to defeat, thwart, dominate, or subdue the other. In opposed checks, BD, base difficulty, is relative. You use your opponent's BA, base attribute, as the BD, the base difficulty of your check, and they use your BA as the BD of theirs. Makes sense? We knew that, yeah. Example, you're fighting a raging Gicht. A Gicht, for those who are new here, is a dinosaur in Mon. So you're fighting a raging Gicht. It's close combat base aptitude. An aptitude is the you round up it's two attributes together, right? So close combat is strength and agility. Ranged combat is perception agility, right? And then it just counts as a normal. It's a BA as well, but we call it CC, right? It's close combat. It's CC. Close combat base attribute, CCBA, or CC for short. So you're fighting a raging Gicht. Its CC is 3. So it sets the BD tier 3 for your check against it. Your own CC2, your close combat 2, sets BD tier 2 for its check against you. So you roll. So CC2 versus CC3, right? CC2 versus CC3, that's a 10. We had it here. DD 8, default difficulty 8 plus 4. And because he's an adept, right? It's a plus 4, 8 plus 4 minus your CC2, an apprentice, modifier 2. So 8 plus 4 minus 2, that's 10, right? There you go. and he will roll the sort of like the opposite. It's default difficulty 8 plus your 2 in CC. CC2, it's modifier 2, minus his 4, his his base attribute CC4, which has a what did I say? 3. His BA3, yeah, CC3, close combat 3. So it's base attribute 3. It's a minus 4. So the D8 plus 2 minus 4 together. So he has an actual difficulty of 6, right? He's an adept against an apprentice, and that's a 6. So you need to beat a 10. And the geek needs to beat a 6. That's how dynamic sort of difficulty shows up best in opposed checks, right? When your BA is my BD and my BA is your BD, okay? So in that sense, let's roll. We have, let's say I'm melee 2 and I'm level 1, trying to beat a 10. Okay, 12, that's a SM2. And he's trying to beat a 6, we said, yeah? But his size, when it's a big geeked, whatever, yeah, make it size 4, so 4 d12s. And his fierce melee, plus 2. He's trying to beat a 6. That's a 7 plus 4, that's 11. Yeah, not too bad. SM5. It beats your SM2 anyway. And that's where you calculate. So we take, but it depends. There are the various rules. For example, in combat specifically, combat stance. Let's not go too deep into it. We'll do a separate video on combat stances. They are not called stances. They are not combat stances. They are exposures, level of exposures. How do you expose yourself? Do you go recklessly or do you go cautiously about it? You expose yourself cautiously. Do you expose yourself recklessly? I think that gives a better sense of the stakes, the danger of fighting. Just reminds you that. There is little diplomacy. There is diplomacy possible with animals, with creatures, of course. I mean, don't step on their turf, you know. So, if you expose yourself cautiously, you prioritize reducing all incoming damage, and use your winner's margin. That means your SM is reduced by the loser's margin, by his success margin. If he succeeded, right, then your priority would be to negate incoming success margin, which is added to the damage. It's the basis for the damage. You reduce that, and the excess, which is the winner's margin, is used to calculate damage dealt to the creature. But if you had exposed yourself recklessly, you inflict full SM damage, but you take as well their SM damage. Yeah, but only SM. You don't add the weapon. I think that's what. Yeah, there will be a lot of tweaking with that. But like I said, I don't want to go into much detail with levels of exposure in combat. Here we have a final example for today. You're trying to outpace another geeked. What's a geeked? So that follow. It's a dino in Mon. A geeked that is chasing you if this one is big and slow and you run for your life. You both check agility plus athletics versus each other's agility, right? Now you pitch, it's a chase, so you pitch both agility against each other. And so he has an agility of 2 and you have an agility of 4. So you're at an advantage here. You roll agility 4 plus athletics. It's a BD 2 because he's only agility 2, so that's your BD. And his BD will be 4 against, because your agility is 4, right? So you're an apprentice. You're a master. We said, yeah. You're a master in agility, and he's only an apprentice. So master versus BD 2. About your AD is 2. Default difficulty 8 plus 2 minus 8. So we need to beat a 2. And he needs to beat a 14 because his BA2 versus your agility 4, BD4, 14. 8 plus 8 minus 2, yeah. So here we go. As this is a chase, the rules for chase is already a whole other thing, but you compare the quality of success. The higher the quality of success, the higher quality of success wins, and that means that but basically you it's like my quality of success minus yours if I win, or the contrary if you win, and that the difference, it's the shift the gap one range band. It's you shift the gap between you by one range band for each quality of success achieved. Right. Update complete. That's where we are now. With that's the core mechanics. And how we got here, what it took to get there, the confusion, the fog of war of newly born designers. Where we are, contested, simple checks, contested checks, opposed checks, committing, exploding dice. That's us. I think this system is a lot of fun by itself. Meaning that it is fun to roll dice. It is not just like, let's get over, we want to move on with the story, sure. And I'm a narrativist. I'm always the rule of cool in my own games. But I find that then dice, if the system is really made for narrative, then they tend to sort of make the dice rolling bleak. Yeah, sort of like meh. It's just like let's get it over with. And so rolling dice isn't on its own as an element of the game. It's not something that it's less fun. Why should it be? So I think this system, as I built it so far, has a lot of is ludique. It's fun. I hope you will think likewise. I hope. I wish. I invite you to leave as many comments as you can, as you want. Join the Discord. Become part of the conversation about the design of this newborn game. This under development game. We'll talk in future videos about the quality of success, quality of failure. It's its own design adventure. Yeah, it merits a separate video on it alone for sure. Combat, of course, it's a whole topic in itself. No doubt about that. But we touched a bit on the exposure, reckless exposure, and cautious exposure. I think there is reach, there is control, and there is taking advantage. A few couple basic mechanics that make combat still, I think, quite fast and deadly. But they add a touch of tactical thinking without too much sort of getting in the way. Sort of the thing that made most sense when you have to fight against oversized monsters, right, creatures. Because you are a size 1 humanoid. You can be a size 2 humanoid. There are a couple ancestries, races, species that are size 2. Generally speaking, you're size 1, and you can fight against size 6, which is size 6 is sauropod level, big dinos with long, and There are other things than dinos, in the game as well as when it comes to creatures. We'll do well. It's I'm all over the place. This point in development. Yeah, a lot of cool stuff. Mostly what I'm focusing on at this point is wrapping up the core concept for each ancestry, like species and ancestries. Ancestries, kind of the generic name for both culture and subspecies. I thought that ancestry can encompass that because some species have subspecies, and I didn't want to add yet cultures within each subspecies. Right? It would be like, because you have the humans and then 6 cultures, right? And there's the species of humans and 6 culture. But then you have the some kind of demi-humans, right? The Zyadak. And there are a few, like the Zulog is a kind of Zyadak, a kind of like half. I call them half demon, but they're not demons. I don't want to use the word demon. They're demi-humans, basically. They're mutants. And each of them has like subspecies. So 6 of them per it's already a subcategory. So it would just become too much. So I don't even know. Yeah, I'm rambling. So that's the focus. Yeah, the focus at the moment is physiology, means of reproduction, sexuality, sexual education, of per culture, per ancestry. Really trying to make every character you could play in the game have a strong, very distinct way of looking at life and death, and children, and this thing. Yeah, I think because if you have that, that's really fundamental at the fundamental level. It's not that you play a demi-orc, a half-orc, or a half-elf. You live forever, but you all reproduce the same. There is no, it doesn't matter. No, I want that to matter. In Mon, it's gonna matter. It's really going to change the outlook you have on the world. You'll know on time when we touch on that. It's in development, so I have changed a couple species ideas on how they work and stuff. It's all about finding parallels with philosophy. We'll talk about that. I'll let you go, my dear dreamers, dear travelers. Thank you so much for your attention. Keep an eye out on the next Mon Dev's Diary. I'll be focusing on designing the game more and more as time comes. Like I have, I'm rambling. Join the Discord, join the conversation, comment, thumb up, all the good stuff. Subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye bye. I forgot. I wanted to do that. I wanted to do live OBS management. Down. Yeah, and I wanted to say goodbye to everyone in that fashion. Full screen. Thank you. See you around.